Alrighty. Two-step equations with inequalities are solved just like one-step equations and just like regular equations with equal signs. We begin by rewriting our equation, so I have negative 10 plus b over 3 is less than negative 8. I'm going to drop the line at the inequality, circle what I'm solving for, and how do I get negative 10 to go across the inequality? You have to add 10 to both sides. Negative 10 plus 10 gets rid of it. b divided by 3 gets brought down. My inequality stays, and negative 8 plus 10 is a 2. Circling what I'm solving for, how do I get rid of the divide by 3? I multiply by 3. Multiply by 3. So I end up with b, and 2 times 3 is 6. Now since 3 wasn't negative, the inequality remains the same. So I have b is less than 6, which means I'm going to go to 6, I'm going to put my dot. It's an open circle because there's no line underneath that inequality. Sorry. And then which way is my arrow going? Since b is less than, it has to go towards 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And I'm done. Let's go on to number 2. Rewrite your equation off here so you have a little room to do the work. Make sure that you write it the exact way you see it. Don't leave off a negative. Don't leave out the sign. Drop my line. Circle what I'm solving for. And how do I get rid of a minus 8? I'm going to add 8 to both sides. That goes away, and I have n divided by 3. My sign still is less than or equal to because we didn't have to flip it because we didn't multiply or divide by a negative. Negative 10 plus 8 is still negative 2. Circle what I'm solving for. How do I get rid of a divide by positive 3? I multiply by positive 3. Since I'm multiplying by a positive, my sign remains less than or equal to, and negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6, which means I'm going to come over here to negative 6 and fill in my circle because it does have that line underneath the alligator mouth, and it says less than, so I go towards the less than numbers, and negative 10 is definitely less than 0, which would have been the other direction. Again, we step it up to the next difficulty. 7 times negative 5 plus n is greater than or equal to negative 161. I drop my line at my inequality. I start with distributive property. We know how to do that. 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. 7 times n is 7n. My sign remains, and my negative 161 remains. Circle what it is I'm solving for. How do I make negative 35 walk across? We're going to add 35 to both sides. So I have plus 35 here. I have plus 35 here. I bring down my 7n. My sign is still greater than or equal to, and negative 161 plus 35 is negative 126. I'm still going to circle what I'm solving for. It's inside the circle, so I know it's a multiply or divide, and since it's 7 times n, I divide to get rid of it. I'm dividing by a positive, so my sign remains greater than or equal to, and negative 126 divided by 7 is a negative 18. So I come over here. You'll notice your line, they decided to skip points so they don't have each point marked. That's okay. We can still figure out where negative 18 is. It's right here, and it's a filled in circle because there's that little line underneath it. And if it's greater than, it has to go to the right because that's going towards 0, and to the left is going towards bigger negative numbers. Alright, so let's take a look at the next one. Begin by rewriting the equation. Negative 6n minus 4 greater than or equal to 2. Drop your line, circle what you're solving for. How do you make a minus 4 go across? You have to add 4 to both sides. You'll notice all these are coming out pretty. You will not have any decimals. So if you end up with a decimal, raise your hand or erase and try again. Circling what I'm solving for, always. How do I make a -6 times n split apart? By dividing by -6, by dividing by -6. -6 divided by -6 gives me that +1. Since I divided by a negative, this sign right here goes from greater than to less than or equal to. And 6 divided by -6 is a -1. So I'm going to go to -1, fill in my dot. And n is less than, so I'm going this way.